All right, let's dive right into Revelation chapter 15. It's a short chapter, but wow, is it packed. This is basically the calm before the storm, the solemn, dramatic moment in heaven right before God's final judgments are unleashed.
It's the question that hangs over this entire book, right? We've seen seals and trumpets, but chapter 15, it's like the universe holds its breath. It gives us this incredible pause, a look into heaven just before the final, most intense wave of God's wrath begins.
Now, one thing you've got to remember about Revelation is that it's not always a straight chronological story. Kind of like a lot of Hebrew literature, it often introduces a big theme and then circles back to give you a more detailed look. So think of this chapter as a close-up, a detailed zoom in on those final plagues that have been mentioned before.
And that brings us right here. We're setting the stage. We're looking at the vision John sees that signals, okay, this is it. It's the beginning of the end. The preparation for the 7 last plagues is underway.
The chapter kicks off with this great and marvelous sign in heaven. These aren't just more plagues, they are the last ones. The commentary on this actually draws a direct line back to Leviticus 26, where God warns that he'll bring 7 times more plagues for disobedience. Well, this is that. This is the ultimate fulfillment, the final, complete measure of God's wrath.
And the specific Greek word for wrath here is super revealing. It's themos. Now, this isn't a slow-burning, simmering anger. Not at all. It's a sudden, passionate, volatile outburst. The best way to think of it is like a hot flash of divine fury.
You see, there's another Greek word for anger, orge, which is more of a settled, long-held anger. But in the book of Revelation, thymos is used 10 out of the 11 times it appears in the whole New Testament. That tells you the kind of judgment we're dealing with here is uniquely intense and passionate. But, and this is key, it's not just God blowing off steam. The word for complete here implies that this wrath is actually fulfilling a specific, eternal purpose.
So in the middle of all this build-up to judgment, the scene shifts and John sees this absolutely stunning vision of victory and worship.
He sees something he describes as a sea of glass mingled with fire. I mean, what an image. The fire clearly speaks of the divine judgment that's coming. But many commentators also see a direct echo of the Red Sea crossing in Exodus, and that parallel is just profound. Just like God brought Israel through the water to safety, here he brings the faithful through the fires of judgment. He turns a symbol of peril into a platform for victory.
And who's standing on this fiery sea? The victors. But listen, their victory isn't what you might expect. They didn't survive the tribulation on earth. They are the martyrs, the ones who were faithful all the way to death. They didn't escape the beast, they won their victory over him by refusing to back down. And now they're in heaven, holding the harps of God, about to lead worship.
So what do these victorious saints do? They sing, and the name of their song is just so significant. This is one of those moments that just beautifully ties the whole Bible together. The song is called both the Song of Moses and the Song of the Lamb. It's one song, but it has 2 titles. It represents the perfect harmony between the Old and New Covenants. You've got law and love, deliverance from Egypt, and deliverance from sin, all wrapped up in this one incredible anthem.
And their song starts with this powerful declaration. Notice, it's focused entirely on God's character and what he's done. They're not singing about their own struggle or even celebrating their own victory. It's all about the greatness of the one they serve.
The song really breaks down into 4 big themes, each one highlighting a different part of God's character. It praises his works, all the amazing things he's done. It praises his ways, how he is always just and true. It praises his worthiness, that he alone is holy. And finally, it looks forward to his universal worship, that a day is coming when all nations will recognize his glory, because his judgments are finally revealed to all.
And just look at the language here. Your works, your ways, you alone, your judgments. It's just hammered home again and again. This is such a powerful lesson in what true worship really is. It's not about us. It's not about our achievements. It is totally, completely, and radically focused on God.
And from that absolute peak of heavenly worship, the scene shifts hard. The focus snaps from the triumphant saints back to the agents of that very judgment they were just singing about. What happens next feels like a very solemn, very formal ritual. Step 1, the heavenly temple, the tabernacle of testimony, is opened. Step 2, 7 angels carrying the 7 plagues come out. Step 3, they're handed 7 golden bowls. And finally, step 4, the entire temple fills with smoke.
It's all so methodical, so deliberate. You get the sense that this is absolutely unstoppable.
Even what these angels are wearing tells a story. They're dressed in pure, bright linen with golden sashes across their chests. This isn't the uniform of angry executioners. It's all meant to show that the judgment they're carrying out comes from a place of absolute purity and righteousness. God's justice is never, ever tainting.
Now that word bowls, or vials in older translations, is interesting. We might picture a deep bowl you'd eat soup from, but the Greek word actually describes a broad, shallow saucer. Think about the imagery there. A shallow bowl is designed to be poured out quickly, easily, and completely. It suggests that these coming plagues are going to be swift and they're going to be total.
And all of this leads to the final, absolutely awe-inspiring image of the chapter. A moment that basically seals the world's fate. As the angels get their commission, the temple in heaven fills up with smoke. But this is no ordinary smoke. It's smoke that comes from the very glory and power of God Himself. It's a physical sign of His overwhelming presence, what was often called the Shekinah glory in the Old Testament.
And you know, this has happened before. There's a direct parallel in the book of Exodus. After the tabernacle was finally finished, the exact same thing happened. The glory of God came down as a cloud and filled the tent so powerfully that even Moses himself couldn't go inside.
The meaning here is just stark. No one could enter the temple until the 7 plagues were finished. The door for intercession, for appeals, for mercy, it's closed. God's presence is so completely focused on carrying out judgment that access is denied. The process has started and there's no turning back. It is irreversible.
And that leaves us with this final, chilling question. Chapter 15 gives us this incredible glimpse into God's holiness, the worship of the victors, and the solemn purity of His judgment. It really is the calm before the storm. It sets the stage for those 7 golden bowls to finally be poured out. So if this majestic and frankly terrifying scene is just the introduction, what could the final plagues themselves possibly contain?